Alright. Time to see if this works. Because I can't test the audio without doing it this way. So I... Fucking YouTube and their dumb settings. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, so... hello to the first concurrent viewer here. It's been a weird week. I will describe it once the stream is going. Hello, Minty. I'm going to describe this. Live now weekly engagement stream. Feel free to come in and chat. Hello, Earth Nerd. Hello to the third concurrent viewer who is not quite here yet. Hello, Valor. All right. Gonna post this in my surveyor. Send it to a few people here. Hope y'all are well. I have 4 people now. Hello to the 4th person. Don't forget, the more you guys like these videos by hitting the like button, the more the algorithm boosts them. So feel free if you like this shit show. That, and then post this in this chat. And send it to these people. Minty says she is eating Taco Bell while watching. Well, hello to your Taco Bell then. Yeah, I still have this challenge open that if somebody sends me $30, I will eat $30 worth of Taco Bell on camera. There was this news anchor not too long ago who specifically said that he spent $25 on Taco Bell and everybody freaked out. But I was like, that sounds like a meal. Cool cat with the cool shades says, yo, it's the Jack Black man. Well, hello. Though I do have something close. I made a chimichanga before the stream because I just worked out, so. Minchi says, Jeremiah Taco Bell Mexican Pizza review. I can already review it. It's not that good. I can make a better Mexican pizza at home for like half the price. There's no reason for me to go to Taco Bell for their Mexican pizza. Holy shit. So, it's been a slow week. Multiple reasons for that. The first reason is my SSD shows up, right? And I'm very thankful to the person who got it for me. And what I needed to do is use this to back up my current hard drive to that one. My current SSD anyway. To that one. And so I needed to clone it entirely and then replace the other SSD with that one, and then it should just be seamless. But the like screw came pretty much pre-stripped, the screw head. So I was trying to get it out anyway, and it bent the tip of my screwdriver. That should tell you everything right there. So basically, I need to get something that can take out a stripped screw without spraying metal shards all over a motherboard and risking a short. I'm still not sure what the best way to proceed is. So, I'm going to be doing some research and figuring that out. That's what I'm going to be doing. I've got somebody messaging me. I'm not sure if he wants to be known as the person messaging, but he says he's eating an actual Mexican thing in a tortilla. He's looking at my stream. Well, hello. So what do we got here? Jeremiah Baja Blast car vlog. I do not like Baja Blast. To me, Mountain Dew is massively overrated, and the only flavor that's like really appealing to me is Voltage. It's got a nice ginseng back note to it. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I've got sort of a theme going where ginger and ginseng are a thing. They set off the right indicators in my tongue. Jeremiah drinks McDonald's Sprite review. I'm not sure that it makes a difference that it comes from McDonald's, but Sprite is one of the few sodas that I actively enjoy. So, but I haven't had one in a long while. So there's that as well. Just be a competitor to fucking Review Bra and start reviewing all the fast food items that come out, but like with intense negative anarchist energy and not in a suit. Like I'll be the the dark alternate universe Review Bra who just looks at the camera all sinister like this, like, I have fucking food. You want to see me eat this food and tell you what I think? I got all the information about this food. Minty says, I could never do mukbang because I don't want to end up like Nikocado Avocado. See, the thing is, though, you've got to just avoid that element of it. So, the people I look up to in the eating world online, they're like fucking Furious Pete, even though I think he ate the wrong things and gave himself testicular cancer, and that's the reason he doesn't have any fucking balls anymore. I think he doesn't have any. I think he lost the first testicle, and then the second one wasn't too long after. I could be wrong though, but he at least lost one testicle, and I think he lost that testicle because he was eating a bunch of highly processed garbage, known to this state of California to cause cancer. And then what do you know? But Matt Stoney hasn't lost any balls yet, and he's a regular eating competition winner. And he'll do things like a massive bowl of buldak, which is that really spicy ramen. And so he'll do that, but he'll do that once a week. And then that'll be the video he puts out that week. Instead of doing every day and multiple times every day like Nikocado does. And also, Nikocado is extremely stressed. Nikocado lives a high-stress life and is constantly mentally ill, seeming. And that, to me, what that implies is that he would do a lot better in the not being massively obese category if he was lower cortisol and higher testosterone. Because that's what you're going to get. You're going to get really fat if you're highly stressed and you've got low testosterone and high cortisol. High cortisol is going to make you fat. It's going to make you bald. It's going to give you cardiac arrhythmia. If not outright fucking myocardial infarction. It's gonna, make it harder for you to breathe, put stress on your organs and bones. It's not good. And all this is going to compound the cortisol effect, which is going to compound the obesity effect. And it's just a giant layer onion of terribility. So as long as you're willing to actually know how biomechanics work in the body in general, you can generally avoid turning into Nikocado. Also, if you're good at something like the violin, stick to the violin instead of turning into a fucking amoeba on stream. He it's such a shame. Admittedly, though, I didn't know about the violin stuff, and there's a possibility that if he had never done all this outrageous bullshit, I never would have known who he was. So there's a distinct possibility that he kind of knew that he wasn't going to take off in that regard, and he still wanted to. But I don't know, man. Like, the amount of money that it takes to fund that diet alone, he could have just saved that money and not spent it on a bunch of junk food all the time, and props for his comedy, and he probably would have been better off. So the same person messaging said, my stream is so simplistic, reminds me of the vlogs from years ago I'd watch as a kid. Good to hear. And like, so the thing about this stream, and like, this isn't going to be the only kind of stream. The thing about this stream is it's a once a week stream, because I don't think you've been here for these before. It's a once a week stream where I just talk to my audience. And I usually also address comments, but I basically didn't put anything out this week on the channel. I put there were 2 podcast episodes and an article, though, so if y'all want to go check those out on AgoristNexus.com, feel free. Like, there's still hours of content this week. I didn't leave you completely in the dark. But, like, I was trying to get a bunch of stuff, like, sorted and settled. This next week, though, I'm going to be doing 2 videos a week, or 2 videos a day for the week. In order to catch up, and in order to sort of do my penance for not having all the content that I normally do. So that's the thing. Yeah, right now, by the way, I've got a bunch of, like, fucking Ukrainoids in my mentions on Twitter getting all pissed sore about my post against the Nazis there. And the primary thing that they're talking about is, oh no, but Zelensky is a Jew. That doesn't matter. There were literally Jewish Nazis in World War II. The fact that you're led by a Jew or the fact that you are a Jew does not preclude you from being a Nazi. That's historically illiterate and very stupid. The whole point of the original Nazi thing was, I'm going to try and unite everybody, and then, once their back is turned, once they think that that I'm trustworthy, I'm going to stab them all in the back with the, Nacht Fallniven, and, the Vom Purge, and, like, all that sort of thing, and I'm going to purge the left wing. That's what the point of the Nazis was, is to, slowly work in the graces. And then, in order to survive, some Jews joined the Nazis and became very good Nazis in order to not die. So I'm not saying that makes them admirable, by the way. Fuck all Nazis. But let's be completely specific and say that the fact that somebody was a Jew does not preclude them from being a Nazi, either now or then. So, Valor says, understandable, Nikocado is something else. Cool Cat says, such a nice, relaxing stream. Good to hear. Valor says, Jeremiah violently eats food. Yeah, here. Some of it fell. That's perfect for Nikocado. I just need it to all fall, and then I need to cry about it. And the best part is that some of those tears might be real because he's under a severe amount of stress and constant psychological problems, so. Valor says, I think Nikocado needs a mental hospital. Might help. Maybe. Minty says, wasn't there a vegan lady that tried to start beef with Nikocado? Valder says, the vegan teacher. Yeah. Valder says, Nikocado is the reason why we're going into a food... that would be funny. Valor says, oh yeah, yesterday I was coming back home from my grandma's and was passed a lot of houses that were hanging up Ukrainian flags. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's the new virtue signal. Like, people who don't understand anything about the political situation, they'll hang up a flag. I had the displeasure of seeing somebody standing over a highway overpass here in Spokane with a flag, just like a Ukraine flag, just blowing in the breeze, and like, that means nothing. What does that mean? Like, if it was an American flag, you know, maybe you'd be patriotic, but what does a Ukrainian flag mean here? You're just standing with a Ukrainian flag to tell people what? You have a flag, good for you. You have a piece of cloth stuck to a pole. Gerald Cranston says he's from Ukraine. It means a lot to see others do that. Okay. To me, if I were from Ukraine, I would want people to avoid the kinds of things that lead to tyrannical empires to begin with. But you can be, like, pleased to see a piece of cloth if you want. That's up to you. I'm actually assuming that some of the people here are, like, watching because of the engagement on that thread there, and that they decided to come in. So if I do get a lot of views off of this, thank you for spamming the link. Minty says, earlier this week I was driving, and the truck in front of me had "Let's Go" branded on the license plate. Good for that guy. Although, I feel like fuck Joe Biden might be a better way to put it, just to be blunt, you know? But yeah, like, I wouldn't be happy to see somebody flying a German flag. That would be completely meaningless to me, as somebody with German blood. Same with a Scottish flag, as somebody with Scottish blood. I have both German and Scottish blood. Ich bin Deutsch and Scottish. And ultimately, what would mean a lot to me is if the workers of the world stood up to the system of oppression and opposed all governments, including Russia, by the way. And just to be super specific, fuck Putin. Putin is a massive piece of shit, but everybody's saying that already. So I don't think it's incumbent upon me to fill out that particular part of the form, to tick those boxes in order to say what I need to say. But just to be clear, actually, let me just get this rant out of the way. For all the, Ukrainoids who are here, and upset about my posts or the stream or whatever, here's your rant here, right? First off, I'm not going to have somebody with 1488 in their username in my stream. So you can go fuck yourself, Trump's biggest fan, 1488. So what was I gonna say? So basically, here's the general vibe. Fuck Putin. He censors people already. So anybody who thinks that he's on the side of freedom is ignoring that conveniently. And he's ultimately he creates oligarchs. He gives them a significant amount of money so that they are oligarchs, but he does it through like accounts that he can control and shut down. So basically, they can live the high life, but only as long as they do what he says. Which is why when the West wanted to, sanction Russia, they could just sanction the accounts of the oligarchs. Yeah, okay. We got another fucking we got another fucking racist over here. So basically, that's the case. And then when you get down to text of that, he would live in a palace while calling himself a man of the people, if that was the case, and if Russia still had any connection to its alleged communist roots, everybody would have a palace, or nobody would. And then, tertiarily, he controls the media to a wide degree, and any sort of, like, direct criticism of the Russian government is basically prohibited. So, when you end up with this mentality, you end up with assassinations of political opponents, you end up with people going to gulags, you end up with a mass tyranny and sort of desires for expansionism. But that doesn't mean I have to support Ukraine. Not remotely. So, I got Richard Boyd saying, "Good Lord, I look like I need a bath." I don't care. You're here, aren't you? All I needed to do was bait people into a stream like this. And y'all are showing up. And for people trying to disprove that there's a Ukrainian Nazi problem or something similar to that, I had Trump's biggest fan, 1488, already in here, right? You know? I had somebody already in here doing that. And I had somebody in here dropping hard R's. So, if you've got, like, a problem with me saying that Ukraine has a Nazi problem, you might want to not be a Nazi yourself. You know? That might be helpful. Yeah, Earth Nerd says losers. Basically. I'm glad y'all are here. Maybe you'll learn something. Anyway, the general vibe on my streams is generally just having casual conversations. And so, if y'all want to stick around, subscribe. And if you like the vibe of the channel, feel free to share this video. I don't care that y'all don't like me. You're giving me impressions right now. The more view hours I get, the closer I get to being monetized. Oh, I'm not leaving, Stuart. I usually do these for about 2 hours. So, anyway, from my actual viewers, if you got anything you want me to discuss, feel free. Also, because I'm assuming that all of y'all are together, I'm going to hide your messages. Because I'm not interested in having your input anywhere near my channel. Yeah, right? Earth Nerd says, imagine going to a stream and continuing to watch when you don't like what's said. Being the kind of person who has that kind of time. 100%. 100%. Minty says, apparently Elon is considering making a phone. Yeah. See, I'm looking forward to that because it's not going to be a good phone, and it's going to be created literally by the relative of a technocrat party member. Social Credit Party of Canada. Everybody should look that up and realize that Elon's family and Elon himself are all massive pro-government scammers who just want to control people. That's it. So, I mean, if he makes a phone, first off, that battery is burning up, given his track record. And then second off, he's just stretching himself even fucking thinner. And that's hilarious. Like, oh yeah, I don't have enough workforce to, like, survive a winter without going bankrupt. Y'all have to work during holidays or I'll go bankrupt. But I have enough staff and manpower to, you know, to make a new phone, to run a social network, to have an entire team of Tesla engineers go over to that social network and clean it up before I get started. Batsian says if Elon makes a phone, he will probably get a large lawsuit. Yeah, probably. I can't imagine him making a good phone. Really. Solid. Valor says, if you don't like a certain channel, then don't watch. You're only giving Jeremiah impressions and engagements. 100%. And meanwhile, my tweets right now are getting retweeted by larger accounts and larger accounts. So y'all can cope, seethe, and mauled about it. Yeah, I'm watching it right now. Either way, yeah, the Ukrainian Nazi problem is not, like, doesn't take away from my hatred for every other government. I don't like the government of Ukraine. I don't like any of the governments in NATO. I don't like the government of Russia. I don't like any of them. The fact that I don't like the government of Ukraine does not mean that I'm pro-Russian. I have a long track record of going against them. And the fact that I'm against Russia doesn't mean that I have to support Ukraine. How about that? That's what's being a consistent anarchist. And that's why I don't like Elon either. Elon Musk is a massive pro-government technocrat. He took government money to make his Teslas. He took government money to make SpaceX what it is. He didn't even start Tesla or SpaceX. He's a massive piece of shit. Bastian says it's not all black and white. Well, okay. What is it then? You gotta tell me what I'm missing here. Because I don't think I'm missing a damn thing. Also, I think I forgot to turn on live chat. So I've gotta go switch that over. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Talk about Orthodox Christianity, am I right? I'm not exactly sure what that was a response to. Richard Boyd says put Putler. I mean, okay. Yeah. He does. Like, he's a massive fascist. That's one of the great things too, because, like, the West loves to claim that communism and Russia are reasons for all of their interventions and reasons for starting the Bundeswehr, which was a Nazi organization in NATO, and reasons for starting the Galen Org, which was a Nazi organization of spies under the CIA, and reasons for letting Nazis into NASA. But, you know, Russia hasn't been communist because Bakunin was right and Marx sucks. Marx was wrong from the start, and that's the reason he kicked out Bakunin out of the First International. Because Bakunin said, we don't need a transition period, and there shouldn't be one, and it's going to end in the same kind of classist society that we've had before. And then, what do you know? It ended in the same classist society that they've had before. And it's only proceeded since then. And when Emma Goldman fled Russia, she wrote a paper that said it's like an essay that said there is no communism in Russia. Because there wasn't. It wasn't a matter of communism. It was a matter of, you know, dictatorship and a new class and the same kinds of things that had brought it down before. So, Pat the Cheesy says Russia is completely queerphobic. Yes, yeah. But so is Ukraine. Like, the UN Human Rights Commission literally put out reports for a long time about how Ukraine was bad for minority rights, especially sexual minorities. So people love to forget that now in their convenient attempt to claim that they're on the side of social justice while supporting a government which actively employs open Nazis. But yeah, I mean, Russia sucks for them too, in the same ways. That's why I'm not picking a side. Richard says, ditch the intellectual horse shit. You're talking to 8 people. At least 3 of them are trolls. I'm not doing any horse shit right now. These are my genuine beliefs. You can pretend that I'm not being legitimate or honest here, but like, you can check the rest of my content. That's what I do. I'm like this all the time. Minty says pro-Russian Orthodox LARPers are just as annoying as the NAFO accounts. 100%. Yeah. And like, honestly, Orthodox in general, like, there are so many people who claim Christianity only as a way to sort of use it as a cudgel, right? The whole point of Christianity as a religion was to do the opposite of what most Christian accounts do. So that should tell you everything. Valor says, my mom likes Elon Musk and says he's really smart. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Elon sucks. Elon is a massive con artist. I hate the way he talks, the way his greasy ass little beady eyes squick around like rat eyes. I you know, and what was funny is that he has all these fucking like boilerplate takes, right? He has all these fucking boilerplate takes, and one of them is that he's not going to let Alex Jones back on Twitter because Alex Jones used the deaths of children for gain. So do a fuck ton of other people on Twitter. So do the war criminals that have slaughtered children for a long time, you know? So do the indoctrinators of children that have entire industries based on either pharmacologically or indoctrinatively warping children's minds. So do, like, you know, churches with pedophilia problems and foster homes with pedophilia problems, and your platform, Elon, with a pedophilia problem. You could ban pedophiles tomorrow. You could say, if you're a pedophile, if we can find out that you are one, or if you publicly identify as one, you're not allowed here. Does he do that? No, because he doesn't give a fuck about children. Badzian says, is that how you pronounce your name? If you're still here, because, like, there was an exodus of 2 of the people, so I'm assuming you might have left. If you are still here, he says there's more than 2 sides. It's a multi-dimensional coins with so many sides the human mind can't comprehend it. That sounds like a ball. I'm not going to keep rolling a ball around or throwing a ball. I'm just going to put the ball down and walk away. You know? Also, saying that it's, like, not black and white and then just saying it's too complex for human understanding, then the people who claim that Ukraine is the sole good guy here with no exception and no nuance are also wrong, because it's too hard for them to comprehend too. They're humans too. So, I mean, this sort of, like, nuance kind of bullshit doesn't work. It doesn't work because when you try to claim that it's way too complex for people to understand, you tip your hand. You're a people too. So clearly you don't get it either. And I'm not just going to wallow in I don't get it until, you know, I fucking collapse into a coma or like dissolve into dust. I'm going to form a conclusion and then move on because I have a very limited life and I'm not just going to sit here pondering, I wonder if I'll support these Nazis or these Nazis. This fascist or that fascist. I think I'll just not do that. I think I'll just say no to all of them. Hope that clears things up. Minty says Elon is a dumb person's idea of what a smart person is. Yep, yeah. And like that's the thing. He's spreading himself so very fucking thin right now. He's doing that right now. And like he already has been for such a long time. He like gets so many of these different projects together. He's got his fucking boring company tunnels that are lying about building the Hyperloop in Vegas. He's got his fucking Teslas which keep catching fire and going off the rails. He's got his SpaceX, which is contributing to global government surveillance. He's got his Neuralink, which is contributing to global government surveillance. He's got his Starlink, which is contributing to global government. Are you noticing a trend here? And then he gets Twitter, so that he can link his knowledge of people's activities to their social media posts, which, hey, would contribute to global government surveillance. And maybe if he also gets a phone, it'll also contribute to global government surveillance. He's at the very least spreading himself too thin and he's not smart, or he's very smart, he has enough people to deal with all of this, and he's going to manage a global government surveillance monopoly. The Elon Musk kingdom of I know exactly what you say and I can control you now. It's just so, it's evil. It's very evil. Hate the man with a fiery passion. Valor says, agreed. I used to be friends with a Christian, and she was extremely judgmental and dissed her own friend's boyfriend for looking feminine. Not surprised. And you know what's always funny is when those people do that, they'll like play at that, but they have a very feminine picture of Jesus hanging up. Or like a very wiry version of Jesus on their crucifix or something like that. Like, I don't know, man. Your Jesus looks like he could have been either way. Vala says she was also trying to control other people's lives. Exactly, not surprised. But, yeah. All that. I like how people have stopped talking now. Like, they were expecting me to leave. No, I was advertising my channel. Valor says, to me, the Orthodox version of Jesus looks less feminine than other versions, I guess. Well, I want the Carpenter Jesus who looks Middle Eastern. That seems more reasonable to me. Like, got some head curls, got a nappy beard, fucking flat top nose, and like big ass fucking like jawline. That's what I think of when I think of Jesus because of my knowledge of the area. Minty says people were saying there's a Russian group called the Wagner Group as a counterpoint to Azov. Is that group actually real? Yeah. Wagner PMC, private military. So what they are is they are connected to the Russian government. The guy who runs it is literally like he's been seen in many positive contexts with Putin. And they're definitely a bunch of Nazis. That's why I don't support either party here. Like, they both have Nazis in them isn't an argument for anything other than I'm not going to back either of them then. Like, holy shit. If they use that as a counter, just say, if you have to bring up the other side's Nazis, maybe that's not an argument for your side. Maybe if you can't say this side doesn't have Nazis and here's how I know, maybe you should shut the fuck up. But yeah, I mean, Wagner's real. There's a ton of organizations that are also connected to Putin, and the Kremlin in general, that are Nazis. Russia is full of Nazis. Russia has a Nazi problem as well, and I would never insinuate or insist otherwise. So fuck both of them. You know, that's what makes sense to me. Like, for even challenging the narrative, I had two racists. One of whom was literally saying Heil Hitler in his username, and one of whom threw a racial slur as soon as he got in here. And those people were the result of criticizing Ukrainian Nazis. That should tell you everything. Right there. Right there. That's all you need. Or the fact that the NAFOs, the North Atlantic Fellows Organization, a play on the like, the fact that those people, their organization of online trolls was literally founded by a Nazi. And now what they do is go around and mass report fucking people. I mean, that should tell you everything. They're doing it for a reason. They're supporting Ukraine for a reason. And so that they can get their global movement of Nazis off the ground. Because the Azov movement is very real. It's connected to the Christchurch shooter. It's connected to recent attempts to bomb Israeli government officials. Or, sorry, not Israeli. Irish government officials. It was connected to so fucking many global terror cells. It's bad. It's a bad scene, yo. And the CIA and all of its affiliated organizations would rather you avoid remembering all the news articles that like said, "Hey, the CIA trained us." Because if the CIA trained yet another group of far-right extremists to oppose Russia, it might look a whole lot like the Mujahideen being funded, armed, and trained under the Operation Cyclone program through Jimmy Carter, Zbigniew Brzezinski, and fucking the CIA. Wow. Or the Galen Org, which was Reinhard Galen, a CIA organization led by an German Nazi, fucking bringing back his old network, bringing the boys back together so that they could spy on Russia again. And what do you know? The Mujahideen formed a massive terror network around the world, and that's why we need the Department of Homeland Security and the NSA, and the fucking those fucking organizations now post occasional bulletins about like far-right violence, when the people that this government originally supported and funded and armed and trained have all been Nazis and other far-right fucking bigoted pieces of shit. You know, and when the Reinhard Galen organization and the Wehrmacht were both responsible for ratlining people out of Germany so that they could go to escape to places like Argentina. Oh yeah, Minty says, don't forget the Tokyo Pop comic about Ukraine. And the cover literally had the flag of the Ukrainian insurgent army and other far-right imagery. Yeah, it had like Azov references and a fucking right sector flag. Like, it's just so, and they literally had more Azov support just like plastered there in the middle of the comic, like a full page devoted to how great the Azov battalion is. Fucking comical. So, yeah, fuck those pieces of shit. Oh, and by the way, I'll be going over all the comments that have been posted between then and now, in next week's stream, because I don't want to waste a bunch of time. And there's not like a whole lot of it. So I'll be doing all the comments at once next stream. But if there's anything more that y'all want to discuss, feel free. Oh, and for those of you who are new here, whether you're staying for the amusement factor or staying for something else, uh, uh, I think you should know that if you do have legitimate criticisms of something I say, I will generally respond. So if you leave me a lengthy comment about why, I'm wrong and you're right or whatever, on one of my videos, I will probably respond to that. Might be one of these streams, it might be a full-on video, who knows? But I will generally respond to those long-form comments. So if you have something you want to criticize me on, feel free. Minty says, what is it with Elon constantly replying to Stephen King? Well, Stephen King constantly posts normie takes. I mean, I don't know about Elon replying to Stephen King specifically because, I haven't been following that closely. But, ultimately, it wouldn't surprise me if the primary reason was because of that, so. Valor says, Jeremiah, did you know or hear how apparently those who block Elon on Twitter and end up unblocking him randomly without him doing it? I would not be surprised. Skyzone says, Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. I mean, you're wrong, but okay. It's a movie. Takes place on Christmas, about a family man trying to get home for Christmas. Seems pretty Christmassy to me. Then, of course, it ends up with snowfall. You can watch the white just drop right there at the end. Oh, man. Yeah, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Definitely. I'm waiting for the angry response. Yeah, I need to cook the beans more thoroughly in the future because they're sort of just falling out. I mean, they're toothsome for sure. Minty says, I don't understand why people would pay $8 for a dumb blue checkmark. You literally get nothing else in return. Well, hey, if any of you have $8 for a checkmark, consider getting verified on my Ko-fi as a payer to my monthly charge, because I will bring you more value than that $8 checkmark could possibly bring you. Skyzone says, does that mean Squid Game is a Christmas series since its last episode is in Christmas? I mean, that episode would be the Christmas episode. I actually don't know, though, because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of Squid Game yet. I'm one of those rare people who avoided the peer pressure because it doesn't look like it's that good a show. That premise to me is probably going to wear out very quickly. Valor says, what's the point of the check mark anyway when we already have those verification things? Yeah, well, also, I'm very public about who I am. I'm Insanity is Free and Jeremiah EXE on Twitter. I don't need a check mark. I need my audience to know where to find me, so I post links. The check mark helps basically none. And there are still a lot of people who don't have the check mark even though they have been verifiably that account for a long time. So, I don't think that the check mark ever meant anything at all. I don't think it means jack fucking shit. Personally, that's my take. And, I'm not going to pay $8 for a super check mark, which is going to let me, not be suppressed to the bottom. If Twitter wants to prove my point that Elon Musk does not care about free speech, they can do that. If they want to suppress me because I'm not giving Elon $8 a month, they can do that. I don't need their approval, I don't need their permission, and I don't need their support. Skyzone says it also gives other features. Yeah, like the ability to unsend tweets before they fully send and edit and shit like that. Skyzone says, have you considered donating blood or plasma for money? I'm not going to. A, because first off, the last time I tried to donate it for free to just the Red Cross, they said my pulse was too fast, and they couldn't take it, which is a shame because I'm O negative and my blood would be pretty good for people. But like the second part of it is that you need your plasma, and really that should be an absolute last ditch effort. If I'm being faced with like being kicked out of my current place, I mean maybe, but even then they would probably demand that I take the COVID shot, and I know what that's done to two of my family members in terms of like they're not alive anymore, and then I know what it's done to more than those in terms of getting them sick repeatedly, like over and over. And I also now know that in my particular age and sex demographic, um, I'm not gonna probably do too well with it. It gives you myocarditis in a lot of cases. So I'm good. Minty says, I only know Squid Games because of that meme picture of the guy staring. I don't know what you're talking about. Valor says, there's a sneeze for you. Get to watch it in real time. That's the way I sneeze, by the way. I just expel it all out through the nose holes. Gotta check and see whether or not I have fucking boogers hanging off. Yeah, okay, I'm good. Thanks for the sneeze, Joe. Yeah, there you go. Fucking Valor says, I only watched one episode of it on my TV and it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's fine, but it seems like it would bore me, and I don't want to be bored. I've got so many other more interesting things, and Sonic Prime is coming out on Netflix soon. If I'm gonna get Netflix for anything, it's gonna be that. Skyzone says Squid Game's old man actor got charged for sex crimes. I am not surprised. Valor says, I got a Red Cross blanket from them when my apartment burnt down, and holy shit, are they uncomfortable. They're itchy, so itchy. Actually, there you go. This is your fault, Valor. You made me sneeze by bringing up the word itchy. I didn't even read it yet, but it subconsciously made my nose itch on the inside. That's you. I'm gonna blame you for it instead of my fucking... Anyway. Minty says, the new Tesla phone blows up on startup. Yeah, would not surprise me. Would not surprise me. Skyzone says, watch The Burrowers. It's a great movie. Might. What is The Burrowers about? Let me know. But yeah, like Sonic Prime is coming out. That might be why I get Netflix. Because it would support the franchise, and I'm all about supporting the franchise. But they canceled the Marvel Netflix series, and that was the reason I had it last time, is to watch the Marvel Netflix series, because those were very good. In terms of Marvel, they were very good. So, Anyway, we're butting up on an hour, so if y'all want to keep talking, feel free, but you're going to have to give me some stuff to talk about it. Skyzone says, can't really explain The Burrowers without spoiling it, but monsters, the Wild West 1800s, and horror. Ah, okay. That sounds interesting. I also have to watch Nope at some point, because the idea of a horror movie that's set mostly in the daytime is very interesting to me. I want to see if it's, lives up to the hype. We will see. Valor says, do you like pizza? I mean, I like good pizza. I don't just like pizza on its own. Or pizza offered by the school, which is basically they've got a skin slave in the back, and they carve a square of the skin slave's skin off, and it just regrows the next day. And then this gelatinous sort of flabby slab of skin, they just put some toppings on that, and that's why it kind of feels like you're palming a clutch of skin-like leather. with a bunch of greasy ass limp fucking, and then you bite into it and it's almost like chewy, like biting through. Yeah, yeah. That's not even pizza really. Skyzone says, last night I watched a movie about a guy who puts on an evil clown costume and has to eat 5 children or else he can't take it off. Ah. Does he do it? Lebremer says, want to talk about how much money Dementia Man gave Vlodmir this week? I mean, I can do that. One moment. Let us see about that. So it looks like we're at 4.5 billion this week. 4.5 more billion. And by the way, this is the fun thing about all this money going to Ukraine is that it's not going directly to Ukraine. What it's going to is funding the military industrial complex domestically. And not just from the US, from like around the world. Because around the world, like the whole planet over, they get their arms from the US. So like not only the US, but the rest of the world, they're funneling money, most of this money, into the military-industrial complex, like BAE Systems, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing. All these military-industrial complex contractors building them their military-industrial bullshit. And they do all of that, and then they send those over. That's what gets sent. So it's like, not only are they funding Zelensky, but they're funding the military-industrial complex, which is why all those businesses I just listed are still doing fucking fantastically, while the S&P is just like struggling, and while the productivity and wages gap is like still. So it's like, they know exactly what they're fucking doing. You know? Valor says, random thing. On Thanksgiving, my best friend almost made their fucking microwave explode because they heated something up in a glass bowl. I mean, you can do that, but you gotta make sure it's a good glass bowl. Like, microwave capable glass bowl. Like, they make tempered glass bowls for that, but it's like Pyrex or some shit that's really good at heat retention without breaking. So, Lebremer says, I bet Lockheed Martin and Boeing are making a killing off this war. Yeah. Hella. Lebremer says, I mean, we totally left Afghanistan, guys, so we're going to think about the poor defense contract. They didn't, though, and that's one of the great things about the Afghanistan thing is, first off, they made the Taliban. Operation Cyclone funding was what formed the basis for the original splinter groups of the original Mujahideen that would eventually get together and form the Taliban. And then they give the Taliban $53 million to ban opium in like 2001, right before 9/11. And then suddenly there's an attack, and all these people who banned opium but suddenly exported all the stuff that they confiscated and made exports higher than ever and made a killing were the dominant government in the region. The dominant government in the region that gave the US government a Taliban threat to fight over there because they're affiliated with Al-Qaeda. Because you made them and Al-Qaeda. You chuckle fuck. So, like, the U.S. made Afghanistan. They're not leaving. They're still killing Afghani, like, Al-Qaeda leaders over there. They're still doing all that stuff. It's still happening because they're not gonna leave Afghanistan, and because they're constantly complaining about how instability is striking the region or how unstable it is. Like, yeah, you made it unstable, you prick. Um, Minty says, I heard you mention the Koch brothers. Who are they and what do they do? Charles and David Koch are massive big oil, tobacco, and other like various conservative organization funders, and they will fund organizations that claim to be libertarian and try to puppeteer and control messages on a regular basis. And they will gradually push liberty-minded organizations that way. And this has been a problem since the inception of the Libertarian Party. Which is why Samuel Edward Konkin III, the guy who wrote the New Libertarian Manifesto, which was the founding book of agorism, it's why he warned against the Kochtopus and said that basically the party, even if politics was a useful method of getting libertarian ends, even if the party was useful in that way, he said that it wouldn't be useful because the message is being bought and co-opted by the Koch brothers to their big tobacco and big oil ends. The Koch brothers have helped massive polluters and fucking, people who have kept weed illegal, among many other things, and they helped fund the sort of installation of Pinochet. It's really bad, and they consistently basically play monetary regime change around the world. And so any organization or political party or whatever that's affiliated with the Koch brothers is automatically going to be corrupt and to the conservative bent. I don't know if that answers your question fully, but that should answer your question at least partially. So, yeah, Liberimer? I'm not exactly... Liberimor? I don't know how you want that pronounced, but the Kochtopus, yes, yeah. Skyzone says, I'm glad the S&P is falling. I never liked to dream. SMP, okay, alright, you're making a... I thought you misspelled it for a second there, but yeah. Yeah. I never liked Dream anyway, yeah. Same. Although I will say that it's very interesting that all the people who normally complain about body shaming and image are now suddenly okay with it because you're mocking Dream. That's pretty funny. Like, any of those people who've been mocking his physical appearance now that he took off the mask and saying, put the mask back on, or some shit like that, all those people, if any one of them ever brings up the fact that somebody's being mean because they mocked Lizzo, or something like that, you can point out their sanctimonious punk ass right there. But yeah, I mean, Dream is an annoying, fucking typical Minecraft YouTuber, so I don't care. Valor says, I want to play Minecraft, but I don't want to join the community. Yeah, reasonable. Libremer says, I wonder how many years it'll be till the Azov Battalion launches a terrorist attack on American soil, and then we all gotta invade Sevastopol. Yeah. Man, who could have seen this coming? Man, America needs to fight Nazis again? Huh? Who could have seen this coming? Oh, nobody could have seen this coming. We gotta go over there and give these people some freedom. We need the freedom from that Nazi terrorist organization. Oh man, I done shucks hate Nazis now. Fucking Minty says, I was reading up on Luhansk and Donetsk and I'm still a little confused. Do they want independence or do they want to join Russia? Well, that their general vibe is that they're like independent, like as a compromise between Ukraine and Russia. They declare themselves independent regions, and basically that was their way of saying, we don't want the smoke of Ukraine and we don't want the smoke of Russia. And that wasn't good enough for Ukraine, who repeatedly shelled the region for a very long time, so yeah. Not awesome. Fucking Libremer says right libs such as the LP tend to have problems with either paleos and coptertardism or the Kochtopus and their ilk. Well, I mean, it's basically the same thing, though. That's the thing. When you realize that the Cato Institute and the Chicago boys helped install Pinochet, it all sort of clicks into place. Like, there is no Cato Institute without the Paleocons. The Paleocons and Cato Institute are pretty much hand in hand. And anybody who disagrees hasn't really, like, looked at the roots here. I mean, there might be splintering now, but it's all on the surface. Like, they'll still support each other in the end, so. Skyzone says, I'm consistent. I fat shame no matter who unless it's due to a medical condition. Libermer says, tend to support any oppression at all as long as it was my private company that did it. Paleos say the quiet part out loud. The others are just youthful idiots. Yeah, basically. Skyzone says, if you have a choice to be fit and don't take it, then you're about to be shamed. Valor says, I got pepperoni pizza. That's fine. To me, my preferred pizza is fucking supreme. I like everything on it. I want a fucking meal in my pizza. You know? Like, give me, enough toppings and cheese that it's just, like, a thick-ass fucking layer. Like, I want a stew on top of my goddamn shit. I want pizza lasagna. Personally. Minty says, what is a paleo? A paleo is a paleo-conservative or a paleo-libertarian, and their basic strategy is we're going to work with right-wing people, you know, because the original right-wingers were right, and my private property will save us all, effectively. So that should basically tell you everything you need to know right there in that sentence. Yeah, Skyzone says it's a dinosaur bone scientist. That would be better, certainly. But yeah, if y'all got more stuff you want to discuss, feel free to throw it in there. I'm gonna check my Twitter real quick. I'm sure it's a cesspit. To the 4 concurrent viewers, hello. Oh, that's interesting. So Daryl Perry quotes mentions FTB and FTR, who apparently is a bot who will automatically screen cap and respond with the tweet that's in question. That's interesting. Yeah. Liberimer says, want to talk about how America is the good guy that totally respects other countries' sovereignty when NATO is funding Azerbaijan to do what Russia did in Ukraine to Armenia? Yeah, or fucking Iran in general. They're trying to depose that guy while supporting Saudi Arabia, who does the same things that Iran's government does. Like, good for you. You know, Yemen especially right now. Or how the U.S. is occupying a third of Syria. We're supposed to be okay with that. But yeah, the U.S. is an anti-expansionist, totally anti-imperialist, fucking awesome country. Don't question it. Minty says, do you know what that guy said after I responded to him calling you Nazi supporter? I think he blocked me. One moment. This is fucking rich. It's very rich. I'm trying to find it because I saw it earlier. And I think maybe they blocked myself as well. Maybe? Yeah, I think they blocked me. Let's check. Let's check manually. Because these people never block my alts. Okay, here we go. Yeah, both of the repliers to you blocked me, so let me find him real quick here. The Bremer says this Iran protest thing is giving me like huge babies and incubators vibe. There were no babies and incubators. Yeah. And he also says totally forget about the Strait of Hormuz, guys, and how much oil passes through there. Yeah. Skyzone says, to be fair, when you're a global superpower, you got to be a bit cutthroat to stay safe. In the grand scheme of Earth, outside the cities and towns, is still survival of the fittest. It's not survival of the fittest, though. Fucking Mark Zuckerberg, fucking Klaus Schwab. The world isn't run by the fittest. It's run by the people who can manipulate fit people to do their bidding. Dylan says, your account was made last month. Nothing you say holds any weight to me whatsoever. You are a bot account made to brainlessly feed rhetoric, and that's all you will ever be. That I have to say it that way because they left a period after all and then started the next with a capital Y. And that's all you will ever be. And a shrug emoji. That sounds like it was written by a bot. HGH, Human Growth Hormone, says he's a loon. You are too for defending him. Enjoy your cult. Okay. Fucking fine, I guess. Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, I do say I'm a cult leader in my bio, but it's always funny when people believe me. Fucking Sprup. Yeah, okay. So, I'm blocked from Dylan, and I'm blocked from this other person, I'm guessing, as well. Yeah. Alright, so fucking Texarado girl blocks me now. I'm so sad. I'm so sad, guys. This is so sad. Can we get some F's in the chat? HGH girl. Imagine identifying as HGH, like not recognizing how that sounds. Liberimer says, notice they've not been stand with Ukraine. I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, okay. I missed a bunch of messages here. The Saudis are still the good guys, despite treating women almost identically to the Iranians, and you know what they're doing in Yemen, but Iran is bad and horrible and evil to women and doesn't respect human rights, right? When what also happens? Yeah, and they've not been, yeah, basically. That's it. It's all a virtue signal. It's all like, oh yeah, I'm such a good fucking person because I support Ukraine, or because I oppose Iran, or because whatever other mainstream take. But these mainstream people can support human rights abuse all over the fucking world on a regular fucking basis, and they're totally fine. 100% awesome. Lockdown Lucy says, Putin, is this you? With an exclamation point. Troll! Period. I'm very sure, Lockdown Lucy. This thread is pissing off all the right people. All the right people. Fuck all of you. Every single one of you. Holy shit. Skyzone says, I could feel my support for human rights leave my body the second England scored against Saudi last week. Well, I don't watch that kind of sports. My sports are MMA and parkour. Things that are actually useful to me. So, that's my bias. Imagine having a name like Lockdown Lucy. Imagine co-opting the tyranny. Liberemer says, oh, and if you point any of this out, it's not because there's a genuine problem with supporting Nazi militias abroad. It's because the Kremlin paid you to blocked. Yeah. Yeah, now I just got to figure out a way to monetize these people. Like create some sort of system where they can really vent all their frustrations to me, like bad fan mail. Vent all their frustrations to me in an email, and I'll read that email on air, just like, oh, I hate you so much, Putin, Kremlin, fascist Nazi, because you oppose them, and that makes you a fascist Nazi for some reason, you know. And I'll say, like, for $10 an email, you can send me your worst email, and I'll read it on air. Yeah, these people are fundamentally bereft of any sort of reason, empathy. I don't need them. Just propaganda mouthpieces for the state. Oh, and E, if you're still here, I think you're gonna like Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's great. Especially like the newer ones where it's more action oriented. Because if you solve puzzles in the newer one, it's a lot less transparent what you need to do. Minty says, you literally cannot point out the Nazi militias or corrupt oligarchs around Zelensky without some Ukraine tard accusing you of being a Kremlin bot. Basically, and watch, somebody is going to come in and say that, like, I'm puppeteering all this. That, like, I'm writing all these messages myself, that I, you know, somehow genius programmed a bunch of different bots to sound like actual people and respond to my chats. You know, that there's some sort of, like, Russian government agency that, like, is devoted to giving me traffic on my vlog streams. They'll come up with any stupid fucking far-fetched harebrained fucking stupid thing in order to say that I'm terrible. Julian says, hey, remember when Facebook censored me for posting about Ukraine and you made it a meme? Good times. Yeah, basically. Liberemer says Russia is just going to get more aggressive now, though, since Finland and Sweden are trying to join NATO, putting St. Petersburg, one of Russia's biggest ports, within 100 miles of the NATO border. Yep, yeah. None of them care either. Because that's the whole point of brinksmanship. Good. Skyzone says got banned from Tribal for posting Luna and saying Luna is better than idiots on Tribal. Good. Fuck those people. Holy shit. Tribal, for those of you who don't know, is literally run by a scam artist who funneled a bunch of political action committee money to his own personal coffers. You know? And he runs Occupy Democrats, an organization which couldn't occupy anything. It doesn't occupy Democrats. What it does is it posts boilerplate Democrat talking points and often flat-out lies, to the point where PolitiFact and Media Bias Fact Check are literally calling them fucking lying organization. That's what Tribal is. It's run by those people. They're not occupying Democrats. They're not trying to, like, create inconveniences for them until they do what leftists want them to do, which is what the Occupy movement was. They're not doing that. They're just doing what Democrats say. They're just supporting boilerplate Democrat talking points. They're not occupiers. They're stupid pieces of propagandist shit. And now they have their own social network. So, awesome, guys. We did it. They won't even let Ukrainians disagree with Ukraine. So, clearly it's not about us. Something else is the enemy. Yeah, Julian is a Ukrainian, for those of you who don't know. He's literally a Ukrainian. And even he can't disagree with Ukraine publicly, or he'll get censored. Valor says it's funny to see countries wanting to become a part of an organization that's guilty of many war crimes. LOL. Yeah, basically. White phosphorus, anyone? Depleted uranium, anyone? Poisoned oil water, anyone? Just so many examples. I could keep listing them. Liberamer says, and is that how you pronounce your name, by the way? Like, I don't know how you pronounce your name, so I'm not gonna assume and be wrong, but I think that would be it. Russia only has Kaliningrad and Sevastopol right now as ports that won't freeze over in the winter if they want any access to global trade at all, or to even have a navy. Then they need a port that won't freeze over in the winter. Sevastopol is in Crimea, and Kaliningrad is an enclave surrounded by NATO. It used to be East Prussia. Minty says the organization that bombed Yugoslavia intervened in Libya and is now in Ukraine. I wouldn't be surprised if they now try to extend to China. Yeah. Skyzone says Jeremiah complains about not having enough to eat, yet he can easily afford uranium and get 18 million calories SMH. Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, so the thing about the food actually is interesting, because when you don't make much money, you learn how to cook like a reasonable amount of calories very quickly. So Skyzone says moral of the story, eat uranium. Well, I mean, if I did eat uranium and I'm still looking like this, I'm pretty good. Most people who eat uranium get big old blistering pustules coming off their body, so I'm doing pretty all right for Ukrainian. Or, Ukrainian. I'm going to keep that. You got Ukrainian poisoning. Julian philosophy, do you know about Transnistria? No, I don't. So, alright, so I'm going to assume, based on your previous answer, that it's Liberamur, which would actually make sense. So, he says, potatoes are based, save poor people really well, very cheap calories, and tolerate almost any soil conditions. Yeah, and you can grow a lot of them from exactly one of them, because they grow quickly from sprouts. So, Minty says, Japan is now trying to claim the southernmost islands of Russia's Kurils with the backing of the U.S. If Japan manages to get these islands, no doubt the U.S. would build more military bases. Julian philosophy says roughly 1,500 Russian troops are still stationed there. The vast majority of people in Transnistria speak Russian. The region has retained many Soviet-era symbols and practices. Yeah, not surprised. Yeah, like, this whole situation, it just ignores all of the context to just immediately side with the Ukrainian government. I don't like the fact that Russia's invading, but I don't, I can't say that I completely don't understand. Minty says, isn't Transnistria a breakaway from Moldova? So. Libero Moore says, I don't like all this war going on when I'm 18 and very draftable. You think that, but I would say your BMI is actually probably too low to draft. Like, knowing what I know about your general physique, I would guess that you're not even draftable, because you're way too lightweight. I don't think you would be considered viable to pass boot camp, personally. I mean, especially if you really hammed it up and got dishonorably discharged. Liberamore says his BMI is normal. Oh, well, yeah, okay, 138 and 5'6". Alright, well. Skyzone says, I support Ukraine without an E. S-E. He says, WTF, ha ha ha. This is why we should never ask Americans about geography. Huh. Valor? Well, Valor is he's who you're talking about. But Valor says, I literally just want to do clinical psychology work in the military. I don't want to fight. Well, I would still recommend not doing the work in the military. You can get that same work elsewhere. Like, it's available at other places. Like, and you would have a cleaner conscience knowing that you weren't, like, supporting the military-industrial complex. I would recommend that. I would recommend finding another outlet for your psychological desires. I don't know what flag you're talking about, disavowed. But Minty says another thing about Romania I know is that they have a Hungarian minority in an area called Sheskali? Shekali? Yeah. Any recommendations? Well, I mean, just clinical psychology, work at the Mayo Clinic. They could always use more people. Like, come to America. There are plenty of, like, shrink tanks looking for, like, workers. I'm 100% assuming that they would be okay with taking somebody from your country. There's generally a good import rate from that region to begin with. So, if you get really good grades, you could probably just transfer. Libera Moore says, or just freelance it. Yeah, you could do that too. You could just run a practice online after you get a certain amount of education in your in your home country. So there's tons of people that offer it online just on their own. Yep, like consulting. You know, you could do like therapy sessions. You could do like recommendations for scripts, that sort of thing. Minty says, no way. Is the police force actually using robots? I mean, they've been using robots for a long time. The question is whether or not they'll become lethal robots. And to me, the answer is obviously yes. I think the only reason they retracted earlier is the same reason PayPal retracted on their $2,500 misinformation theft. I think that they just realized that they couldn't be public about this, that they could still do it, but they couldn't be public about it. So they we're sorry, and then like months later they'll just do it, and we'll hear about it in the news and be like, hey, you said you weren't going to do that, and they'll be like, yeah, but we wanted to. Skyzone says Israel gives free college educations for Jewish people, so I might do that. Secure the bag. Julian Philosophy says, yes, they're going to draft C-3PO and R2-D2. I don't know what you're trying to imply there, but Valor says, I'm already trying to get experience by doing emotional support and therapy in 2 Discord servers, and I am in a lot of therapy servers used for venting. I try to be active in. Good. That's a good way to get... Oh, Julian says, cops and robots. Yeah. I can see that. Liberamore says, people are just allergic to responsibility, though. That's why you've got all these people who can't be drafted virtue signaling about Ukraine and the like, while also not being able to point to Ukraine on a map. Yeah, dude, it's reliable that when I tell these people to go over there and just do something, they say no. I wonder why. I wonder why they would say no to going and fighting in this war if they care so much. It's almost like they don't. It's almost like they don't give a shit, and it's just a virtue signal. Wow. I get to feel good and like get superiority follows and likes and retweets and fucking Patreon bucks off of people saying, yeah, you're such a good person for backing Ukraine verbally, but you're not gonna do anything for them. Fucking transparent bullshit. God, I hate them. Liberamore says they aren't the ones who would actually have to fight. that war. Not actually pick up a rifle and hop in a foxhole and kill Ruskies or have their arms blown off. Meanwhile, if they actually cared about Ukraine, I mean, tons of Americans are doing this already. Just buy an AR-15 ghost gun that no civilian should own and buy a ticket to Kyiv. Basically. You know? And also, you don't even need to worry about step one, because they'll literally give you a fucking gun over there. They literally gave them guns, and they're constantly getting shipments of new arms. They can afford to arm their Ukrainian volunteers. And the ones that they weren't, that was just proof that some of these people are just cannon fodder to them. So, congratulations. Disavowed says, I'll take a couple Ukrainian mail order brides. That's the most I can help. Okay. You know, you'd be doing what Hunter Biden did. He got some chicks from Ukraine, according to the iCloud leaks. Like, oh, and that's funny. It's some of these Ukraine supporters. They don't even know about the iCloud leaks. They don't know about Ukraine's like dealings with Burisma or his like direct trafficking of a couple chicks. They don't care that he's like, you know, smoking crack and owning a gun as a felon and all this other stuff that his dad would have jailed people for, because because if you started to look at the idiosyncrasies and inconveniences of all of these, like sort of things associated with the leaks, you would end up realizing that this is just about corruption and it's not about, you know, anything else, which is why the Biden family is so deep with Ukraine and suddenly, hey, there's a bunch of Ukraine shit to deal with. And of course the FTX Sam Bankman-Fried thing where he's like, you know, oh, let me take $10 billion of you guys' money and throw it at Ukraine, you know, basically help with the election cycle of a bunch of politicians who are pro-Ukraine. And, you know, oh, suddenly Biden's got all the money and popularity he needs. Oh, just came out of nowhere. LeBaramore says, LOL, I remember seeing pics from the front where Mosin Nagants were still in use. Yeah. Seems like the Ruskies are having supply chain problems. Well, maybe. Or maybe they're putting out their worst first. Their least capable first as sort of cannon fodder who, if they get some kills, fine. So when they send in their finest, Ukraine has already depleted all their worst. And Ukraine has a cold winter because, you know, the disruption to global oil from the totally not the U.S. or the West NATO fucking caused, totally not any of that Nord Stream pipeline explosion, and totally not the West sanctioning a bunch of other countries from participating with Russia, or sanctioning a bunch of other countries from getting U.S. money to their oil. Like all this just happens all at once, just coincidentally, you know. So I don't think Russia actually does have too many supply chain problems. I think that I think they're doing fine, and they're just like prioritizing resources that they can expend first, like expendable assets. I mean, to me, that's really fucked up, and I hate them for it. But I also think I understand that a little bit better than some of these other people who just assume that they're doing terribly now. I think they're doing fine. Minty says, Ukraine is literally oppressing sexual minorities, Africans, and Russian-speaking people, but none of that matters now. We gotta protect them from the orcs. Yeah, the cat... That was the first thing that the Ukrainian National Guard account tweeted. And they were like, oh yeah, let's just tweet out our Nazis larding up bullets to shoot Muslims. That's not transparent at all. Fucking wild. Yeah, and LeBaramore says, for the unaware, the Mosin Nagant is a bolt-action rifle made in the 19th century. Yep. Either way, though, we are bellying up on 100 minutes here. So, if any of you got some other stuff you want to discuss, feel free. Otherwise, there's going to be more content on AgoristNexus.com this week. There's going to be more vlogs, more newsletters. There's going to be a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And also, this is brought to you by BRUSHFIRE 2048. The book is in the description. It's a sequel to a book written by a guy who has supported my content before. So if you got a conspiracy theorist in your life, feel free to get that for them. Also got Liberty Professionals back. He's in Texas now. He can do remote consulting. And he will help you secure your home, small business, and life in general. He is an ASIS board certified private investigator and security professional, and that's what he does for a living. So feel free to support me with those links in the description, and also the pre-search and whatever else you want to do. What would Sonic do? Sonic would oppose both sides and form his own. He would not support either side if they had Nazis involved. Freedom fighters fight for freedom. They don't fight for dictators and wannabe dictators. He'd probably just let them duke it out and try to save as many civilians as possible. Like, get the civilians out of there, help them evacuate, and then, like, in both Russia and Ukraine, probably smash the governments there. He'd have a lot of badniks, I'll say that. Would Eggman support Ukraine or Russia? Both. He's got enough robots and money. You could just throw it at him. Valor swallows the mouthwash. That's like that song by Trevor Moore, What About Mouthwash? All about getting drunk on mouthwash. Julian says, did you see the Ontario College of Physicians send out a memo to doctors in Ontario that unvaccinated should be treated as mentally unwell or medicated? I have not seen that. You can send me a link, though. I might do a video on it. I got to put out 2 tomorrow anyway, because the entire week this week I'm going to be putting out 2 episodes a week. So, and by the way, if any of you decide you want to support me on a monthly basis to keep the content rolling, feel free, because there's going to be a lot of it coming. Minty says, got COVID 2 times, still not vaccinated. Good. Good. Yeah, stick to that. Julian says, I will. Yeah. But all right. With all that being said, there is lots more content coming. You'll be able to see it in email updates. I'm going to try to put out like 3 minimum emails this week. And those emails are going to contain some interesting stuff as well. And if you get the emails, just know 2 things. First off, if you reply to the emails, I can see those replies. So if you've got like a long reply to something I bring up, then feel free. And then the second thing is that you can forward these emails. So if they're interesting to you, you can just send them to another contact. It's very easy. Ego says, right to bear the title of this stream. Yeah, see, I've got to find a new just random thing to call the thing. So this week I had pictures of my arms that I took for Twitter, so I figured I'd just stretch them a little, distort them a little, and then throw them on my thumbnail. So that's what that is. Julian says, don't worry, we'll be the last people they want around. Yeah, basically. And Liberamore says they will just force you to take the jab. Potentially. Who knows? I certainly don't. But, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Certainly. Either way. Lots more content coming. Valor says, my title suggestion for next stream is, that probably would be if I start to go viral. If I start to go, like, super viral and get a huge amount of subscribers and I finally get, like, monetized, I'll name it, Liberamore, this was in reference to Julian saying that vax avoidance is a draft dodging strategy. I mean, okay, so, yeah, potentially, yeah. If you misspell, the algo loves it. Just misspell something and it'll work. Might. Either way, it'll be 100 minutes very shortly. I gotta go get dinner. So, there's lots of content coming. Lots of reasons coming. And, jog, vlog, win. All it needs is your phone. Potentially at some point, but I can't even... Like, maybe a vlog, but I can't do a vlog stream. Because I don't have the cash to just buy the unlimited plan. I would need, like, a significant amount of initial investment to afford the, like, style of unlimited plan that I would need to do that. So that's on the list, but basically, if I'm getting the unlimited, I'm gonna get a whole year of it all at once, which would be $370, like plus tax, so like $380. So, Ego says, "Oh shit, I hadn't even considered vax requirements for military." Yeah, basically. Valor says, "Have a good rest of your day." I will try, but either way, there are going to be plenty of reasons during all of this, during all the content that's coming out this week and all the stuff that's coming out in the future, for you to fucking smash the state.